Hey guys, how's it going? Just thought I'd do another. I'm doing actually my first review of this little grid tie inverter. I have three of them. Just got this one. Uh, I like them a lot. They work very well. I got them for this one. I got for $100. I got this one for 90, and I got this one for 90. And just I'd like to show what I've learned about them. Got this little oscilloscope. Also, great little product. Love it. It was only about $50. And I got it hooked up to the DC side. So the DC side of these grid ties, where my solar comes in. I got this oscilloscope hooked up just to show something I've learned about it. And it's that between these three inverters and even this PWM charge controller, they actually output through the back where the solar comes in. They actually create a disturbance in the DC power, just a little slight disturbance, which when they're all hooked up in parallel, like I have them, because I want this to keep my batteries float charged, and any access after goes into these grid ties, which goes into my house. I'm just going to show how it works. Now, you can barely see it, but there's this blue line at the very top here. And it's relatively straight and smooth. Maybe it's a little bit disturbance in this. I have this line extending the leads here. Might be that, who knows. But anyways, it's almost perfectly straight. And I'm going to turn my PWM on. It's still relatively straight, unless the PWM is actually charging. Let's see. So it's fully charged. There we go. Let's see. There you go. There's that PWM making a little bit of disturbance right there. Grid tie inverters do not like that, apparently. And as you can see, it's kind of just pulsing in a little bit. Anyways, so that's that thing. That's the little bit of feedback that does. Now I'm going to turn that off. And we're back to nice again. I have to turn all these on at the same time because I have too much solar coming in for one. Two would probably be okay, but I turn them all on. Now let's watch this. And as they start putting out juice, let's see, we're putting out 147, 171. That should go all the way up to at least 350, 400 unless there's some clouds. It's later in the day. Sunny, but later in the day, so not very good angles on the panels. Alright, so we got Alright, so that's with 3 grid ties on. Look at all that play. That's dirty back feed into the solar. And that is with this capacitor hooked up. I'm going to see what it looks like without the capacitor hooked up in a second. And this is just going to go wacky, I think. And this will drop in power. So I'm going to disconnect that actually right now. Let's see what happens. So I'm disconnecting it. Alright, okay. That's no capacitor hooked up at all. Look at that. That is the DC side, the 12 volt side of my solar panels going in. I've gone down to 170 watts. It's not a huge drop right now just because there's not a whole ton of power being used. But okay, now I'm going to turn my PWM controller on. Let's see what happens to it then. We're going to look at the voltage too. So that's terrible. And these things do not run near as efficiently like this. So when stacking these, I highly recommend putting a capacitor behind it. This is only 1 farad. I am thinking about upgrading to a 5 farad or maybe some super capacitors. I think that'll benefit these like crazy. And I'm also going to increase the size of these wires. I just have like three 12 or 14 gauge wires running in. I'm going to shorten the length and maybe run 6 leads. So I'm going to increase the size like crazy, shorten them as close as possible. Okay, so this is with everything running. This is what I was running like for months and months. Then I decided to try putting the capacitor on. So I'm going to connect the capacitor and you're going to see what happens here. Okay, capacitor is connected. What a difference. Still a tiny bit, just because I think if I increase the size of this cabling, that'll become even cleaner. And we look at our output and it's going up. There's a slight bit of clouds. It's hazy out, so I can't get the exact same amount of power, but it is going up slowly but surely. I'm also charging my batteries. But yes, I thought I'd include this in part of the review of these no-name grid tie inverters. They're actually very good. I like them. I'm not 100% sure on the efficiency of them, but I've had this one for over a year. Nothing seems to be wrong with it. I had this one for about 9 months. Nothing's wrong with it, and I've only had this one for about a week. They all seem to work really well. They work good stacked as long as you have a capacitor hooked up behind them. If not, you lose a lot in efficiency because they are cheap inverters. They probably don't have a good filtering out the back like maybe the higher ends do. I'm not sure. But that is what I've found. And look, we're already up to over 300 again. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys.